Hi, this is Career Assessment with a focus on ONET. Our objective here is to cover the importance of assessing your skills. Now, that's a pivotal part of the job search process, especially now with so many positions that have been rescinded or put on hold. Our goal by the end of this session is for you to be able to effectively conduct a self assessment using ONET to determine all of the positions out there that you qualify for and not just the position that you've held most recently. My name is Brendan Schneider, and here's what we'll be going over today. Our starting point will be making the case for assessments. Then we'll meet ONET. We'll have an exploration of the platform. Then we'll turn to a discussion of assessing organizations, and we'll round things out with a discussion on Boolean searches. Now, an assessment is your starting point, square one, a recentering. Before you can start out, you have to take stock of your skills, your passion, and go from there. Now, this thought process is especially necessary now. Mass Hire Metro North, we hear from a lot of job seekers out there, and many believe that they're headed back to the job that they were furloughed from, maybe even the job that they were temporarily laid off from. But what if you're not? What if they decide to not bring you back? As a job seeker, you can learn a lot from the articles written just as the pandemic was getting going here in the States. On May 7th of 2020, Heather Long and Emily Guskin wrote an article for the Washington Post. Over 33 million Americans lost their job during the pandemic. 77% believe they'll get it back. And two parts of this article really stood out for me. There was this bit right here. A new report from the Becker Friedman Institute at the University of Chicago predicts 42% of the recent layoffs from the pandemic will result in permanent job losses. And then there was this section. There are two big issues. First, many companies are going bankrupt or shutting down permanently, so they won't need workers. Second, even after parts of the economy reopen, many people will be hesitant to shop, travel, and go out to eat as they did before. Businesses operating at half capacity or switching to online or takeout don't need nearly as many workers. And then on May 12th of 2020, Jack Kelly wrote a piece in Forbes. Here's why furloughs will turn into permanent job losses. Now, like that Washington Post piece, two parts of this article really jumped out at me. There was this bit right here. Claudia Sahm, a former Federal Reserve economist, laments, for a lot of those furloughed workers, a non-trivial number will have no job to go back to because the company they worked for will have failed or will need fewer workers than they used to. And this part knocked me out. Major companies, including high-end retailer Neiman Marcus, J. Crew, Forever 21, Pier 1 Imports, Diamond Offshore Drilling, Gold's Gym, McClatchy newspaper chain, Model Sporting Goods, and other big-name companies have announced bankruptcy plans. Other long-standing household name retail chains such as Sears, Kmart, The Gap, GNC, Macy's, Bed Bath & Beyond, Hallmark, Papyrus, and GameStop, along with others, have confirmed over 3,000 store closings. Now, we're looking in the past here, granted, but we cannot forget these lessons. I mean, who could have predicted the pandemic? Who could have predicted these closures? And some of these places are household names, so they were household names. They were everywhere, right? And now, you see, as job seekers, we have to have a plan. We have to protect ourselves, our childcare arrangements, our mortgage payments, money for food. And the best way that we can do that is knowing all of the skills at our disposal, all of the accomplishments that will successfully propel you into the next position, whether it's one you had a few months ago or a headfirst jump into a completely different pool, but not one where you'd be out of your depth. No, it would actually work out. And that is the intriguing thing about assessments. It's like there's a hypothetical employer out there asking, what else can you do? Assessments answer that question, and ONET can really help us get there. So what I'm going to do now is shut off the PowerPoint for just a second here, and we're going to jump online. And here we go. And I'm going to go over to onetonline.org. And here we are. Welcome to ONET. The Occupational Information Network Online, or ONET, is the online presence of the U.S. Department of Labor. It was designed to help job seekers find positions out there that call for their skills, their interest, their experience. And then there are over 900 occupations listed. And I pulled this from the website. Quote, the data collection is designed to provide data that are valid, reliable, current, and regularly updated, end quote. Now they pull from multiple sources, including surveys from folks who work in multiple business sectors. And what we're looking at here is the first screen of ONET. This is their homepage. And this is where you can perform an occupation keyword search. And that's actually our first stop. So what you do is you go right up here to occupation keyword search, and you put in a position that you've had. So let's say your last position was medical assistant. What it's going to do is produce a listing of all of the positions in their database that match that phrase medical assistant, including positions that have medical assistant as a phrase in the job description. This is the reason why we see other positions on there that have anything to do, other positions on here that don't explicitly state medical assistant. So medical and clinical laboratory technologists, medical record specialists, medical transcriptionists, they all have something to do with that phrase, medical assistant. And what we're going to do is pick the position that's right up top, medical assistants. Now, first, you'll notice this sun right here, and you probably noticed the sun in the past position. More on that in just a little bit, but the sun means a bright outlook. The sun means that it's projected to have a wide number of openings over the course of the next 10 years. The first thing we have up top is our job title. Then we've got the SOC code. And the SOC code is what you would need if you contacted the U.S. Department of Labor and asked more about this position. Next, we've got a summary of everything this position entails. And then the next section is what I call the alias job titles. So already, what are we seeing here? We're seeing keywords associated with this line of work, right? Keywords for your resume, keywords for your summary, keywords for your interview talking points. We also see that this was updated in 2024, this year. So if we scroll down, we're going to see the tasks involved to perform this position at an average level, according to the U.S. Department of Labor. Now, just like a zip file, we can unzip even more tasks here to see a full range of the tasks that you can expect to perform as a medical assistant. Now, note that it says here, find occupations related to multiple tasks. More on that in a second. We also see the technology skills here. We can unzip this list as well. Technology skills that you can expect to have, you can expect to utilize while during your time as a medical assistant. Now we see here little bits of fire that are here on screen. If we consult this little section right here, that's an indication of a hot technology requirement that's most frequently included across all employer job postings. Right underneath that, you have another icon right here, this little arrow going up. That's an in-demand skill. So these are frequently included in employer job postings for that occupation. So another indication of what you would need for that position type. Next, we've got the work activities. Now, don't get so caught up in what's a task, what's an activity. ONET sort of has its own dialect. It isn't so important to see where an aspect falls, just whether or not you meet that aspect, whether it's a skill or activity according to ONET. So what we see here for work activities, the first 5 of 36, garnering information, working with computers, assisting and caring for others. And next we've got some detailed work activities. So let's say you get down this far and you think to yourself, well, I've been a medical assistant for X amount of years. I'm familiar with this position. And what I really like doing as a medical assistant, I don't want to be a medical assistant anymore, but what I really like doing was interviewing patients to gather medical information. Or let's say you were considering other positions that are similar to a medical assistant position. With this particular activity in mind, you can click this plus symbol right here, and it's going to show you other positions that call for that same skill set. So in this way, we are using the summary report for a medical assistant position to see what other positions out there call for that same activity. And you can do this with any of the skills or activities that have plus symbols before them. So I want to see the other positions in the database where I'd be working with a group or a team. Actors, family medicine physicians, orthodontists, and so on and so forth, to see what else is out there. That hypothetical, what else can you do, right? Next up, we've got the job zone. Job zone is another way of saying preparation, the type of preparation that you would need in order to perform at an average level according to the U.S. Department of Labor to be that medical assistant. Training and credentials. Maybe you feel that you need some training in order to qualify to be a medical assistant. This is the section that you can check for that. Now, it's possible that your local career center can assist you with funding assistance for training, but that's a process. So it's best to contact your local career center to find out more about that. Then there's apprenticeship opportunities. Example, apprenticeship titles for this occupation, medical assistant and podiatric assistant. And we can take a look at apprenticeship.gov as well for more apprenticeships. Skills, the skills that you would need. Think about what it takes to be a successful medical assistant. Social perceptiveness, active listening, speaking. If you've had a less than average medical assistant, perhaps they didn't possess these skills in action, right? And just like the list that we saw before, we can unzip this list to see even more skills that we would need to possess. Knowledge of the English language, knowledge of customer and personal service, knowledge of medicine and dentistry, computer and electronic knowledge. And education, the type of education that one would need to perform at an average level to be a medical assistant. And the abilities, oral comprehension, oral expression, near vision, and we can unzip this listing as well. And we can zip it back up. Now, interests. This has to do with John Holland and the Holland Codes. John Holland was arguably the grandfather of modern-day workforce development. And when he was in the Army, he was charged with putting platoons together. He had a brainstorm one day. He thought to himself, what if folks' personality types could be pointed toward particular position types? And he was really onto something. Personality type certainly points toward a position type. Here we have, out of RIASEC, that's all 6 personality types, we have 3 of those, C, S, R. So in order to be a successful medical assistant, one must be conventional, one must be social, and one must be realistic. Wouldn't you agree, right? To be a successful medical assistant, you want that person to be conventional, someone who follows procedures and regulations. Absolutely, in a medical office or in a hospital, right? You want that person to be social, right? And you want that person to be realistic. Now, what they value in their work, they value relationships, they value support, they value achievement. Absolutely. Work styles. To be a successful medical assistant, I'd want that medical assistant to have integrity, to have dependability. And what are we seeing more of? Just like the top of the summary, we're seeing the keywords. We're seeing the keywords, perhaps for networking, definitely for the resume, definitely for the cover letter, and definitely for the interview talking points. And now we get to wages and employment trends. For wages, salary is often dictated by the area of the country that you're in. So a medical assistant in the Boston area would be paid differently than, say, a medical assistant in the Phoenix area, or in Miami, or down in New York. So what we can do is we can put in a local zip code. I'm going to put in the zip code for Arlington, Massachusetts, and we can click go. Now you can start with the state, but I like going straight to the zip code, and I'll show you why. We click go. What we see is a side-by-side comparison of the annual wages. We've got the low end right here, we've got the high end right here, and the median right here. Now, as you'll see, Massachusetts is higher than the national average. And just edging out the state average is our local average for Boston, Cambridge, Nashua, and New Hampshire. We see our high ends edge out each other as well, going up. So the Boston area is a pretty good spot to be in for being a medical assistant, as we can see here. So let's say you're considering salary for a medical assistant position. Now you have the up-to-date information. So you can have more confidence during that salary negotiation phase. Maybe you've been a medical assistant for a little while. Perhaps you can command the salary over here toward the upper end. Perhaps you're just starting out as a medical assistant. In the Boston area, it would be a little closer to the low end. Maybe you've been unemployed for a little while. Therefore, there's an assumption that your skills have diminished, so perhaps you'd still be in the low end as well. And you can switch to hourly wages as well. Not bad. Not a bad way to prep, not a bad way to research, right? And we can go back a screen and we can take a look at the state trends. So we saw a bright outlook a little while ago. I'm willing to bet that the state trends are an upward trend. We can click on Massachusetts and we can click go. Oh, definitely an upward trend. We see here nationally, it's much faster than the average with 119,800 projected job openings over a 10-year spread from 2023 to 2033. And here in Massachusetts, 2020 to 2030, 1980, and projected growth of 21%. So a pretty good position if you're considering being a part of it. And if all this looks like a fit, we can go to job openings on the web. We can put in our same zip code, and we can click go. And let's sort by the date. Okay, I'm recording this video on December 13th. And lo and behold, here are positions posted just today. And not too far away either. There's a Boston position down there. We've got a position up in Merrimack, a position over in Linfield, December 13th, December 12th. Now, around this time of year, it's assumed that there aren't that many positions out there. And this proves that belief wrong. Here are positions that were posted today and yesterday and the day before, presumably during a period of the year where positions aren't out there. This shows that positions are out there. Now, what can you do from here? You can click on that position. You can find out more about that organization. Couldn't you start researching Charter Care Health Partners? Couldn't you research Covenant Health to find out if it's a match for you? And I'd like you to copy that word down, match. Match is the most important word in job search. To indicate that you are a match, we can take a look at these organizations and we can see if their mission statement dovetails with your own passion. And more on assessing organizations in just a little bit. I'm going to go back and we can see more related occupations. So perhaps you've been a medical assistant, you want to see what else is out there. Just like the plus symbols, we see those positions here. Now, I mentioned networking a little while ago. There's no better place to network than professional associations. Couldn't you call one of these associations on screen right now and request an informational interview? Absolutely you could, to find out more about those positions. Now, we've gotten to the bottom of the screen. I want to explore a few more sections of ONET. First of all, there's advanced searches. We're going to click advanced searches and we're going to go to job duties. Okay, so keeping with this theme of career assessment, let's say let's stick with medical assistant here and click go. Okay, so I'm going to choose medical assistant and below we have some tasks. Let's say I've been a medical assistant for X amount of time, and what I really enjoyed is being a medical assistant. I really liked preparing treatment rooms, and I really liked scheduling appointments for patients, and I really liked setting up medical laboratory equipment. But I wasn't really interested in the other duties, but I liked those 3 duties. So I want the ONET database to show me positions out there that have these 3 duties. I'm going to click go. Here we have, you have to pay so much attention to these numbers here. We see our 3 job duties here, and these are the positions that pop up that also have those 3 job duties. Physical therapist aides, veterinary assistants. I didn't even think about working with animals, right? Or radiologic technologists and technicians. I don't want to stumble over any of these job titles like I did with podiatric a little while ago. Chiropractors, I just did it again. Chiropractors, endoscopy technicians, and so on and so forth. We also see our bright outlook suns showing that these positions are projected to have a lot of vacancies over the course of the next 10 years. So we're using medical assistant as a starting off point, and we're jumping off by way of those job duties that we would like to see in the next position. Now, couldn't you click one of these occupation titles to check out their summary report? Absolutely. Now we're taking a look at what other positions out there we could qualify for. Let's go back to advanced searches here. And now let's take a look at soft skills. Soft skill, of course, is not a defined and measured skill. A soft skill is a bit more difficult to quantify. It's jobinterviewquestions.com characterizes soft skills as emotional intelligence. It's knowing when to do what, right? So let's say in my next position, I would like to have some instructing. And I like the idea of service orientation and perhaps some social perceptiveness and under thinking skills. Let's see. In my next position, I would like some active learning, some active listening. I don't know about complex problem solving, but I do like the idea of learning strategies. So how about just those 6? I want to see those 6 in my next position. What positions in the ONET database have those 6 for my next position? Let's see here. I'm going to click on go, and here we have a listing of those positions. Sorry about that. Teaching assistants, occupational therapy aides, embalmers. Really? It's interesting, right? Cooks, dental hygienists. Now, am I going to be a complete match with all of these positions? Probably not, but enough for it to jumpstart curiosity in my job search? Absolutely. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that interest. We're looking for those skills that are transferable, right? We hear that term all the time in workforce development, transferable skills, going from medical assistant to in any of these positions based on those soft skills, right? Now, what about hard skills? Hard skills that are defined and measured? How about of those hard skills, technology skills? Let's say in my next position, I want to utilize Microsoft PowerPoint. I'm going to put PowerPoint in there, and I'm going to click go. All right. And yes, this is what I mean, the presentation software. I'm going to click that. And what we have here are positions that are calling for that technology skill. And here we have the in-demand symbols that we saw a little while ago. Once again, the skill is considered in demand for that occupation. So whether it's a desktop publisher or industrial ecologists or energy auditors or sustainability specialists, they're looking for PowerPoint. This site is very robust, folks. And I hope that you'll use this session as a jumping off point, explore around, get lost, and learn about those target fields, because we're never just qualified for one type of position. We're generally qualified for multiple positions that are just on the periphery of that position. And the next step would be, I mentioned this a little while ago, the next step would be to assess an organization itself. So what I'm going to do is jump back to our PowerPoint. Here we go. We have met ONET, and now we're looking at this idea of assessing organizations. Now, if you spot a position that's appealing on your job search, I would invite you to put that organization name into sites like LinkedIn, Glassdoor, and Career Bliss. Because then you're not just assessing yourself, but you're also assessing the organization. You're seeing if they're a right fit for you. And that's pivotal because we want to dovetail where we've been with where we're going. We want to see how much of a match there is. There's that word again, match. Now, I'm also a huge fan of using Boolean searches online. And these are awesome. And here's how they work if you're not familiar with them. What you do is you fire up a search engine, maybe Google, and you put in the phrase mission statement in quotes. Then add an addition symbol. Next, put in your nearest major metropolitan city in quotes. For me, right now, that's Boston, MA. You can experiment with other cities too. So maybe Cambridge, MA, or Salem, MA, or Portsmouth, NH. You want to include the abbreviation of the state as well. I found out recently that there's a Boston, England. So I want my Boolean search to consist of positions and organizations rather closest to me. And the next thing you do is you add another plus sign. And finally, you would put in a core value that you have, something that resonates with who you are. Maybe it's diversity. Maybe it's authenticity. Maybe it's curiosity or autonomy. Personally, I like searching for work-life balance. So in this way, you're telling your search engine, show me all of the websites out there that are using these words as tags on their website. And to put it into context, when I performed this very search, I got over, and here's what it would look like in a search engine. When I performed this search, I got over 23,000 results. All right, and then to be honest, there was some stuff in there that didn't apply. We had some old articles, classes that I've already met, but I also found organization after organization in the Boston area that had work-life balance in their mission statement. Something that I believe in, already a commonality between something that's a core value for me, it's also a core value for that organization. Now, I could then replace work-life balance here with something else that resonates. And if the same organization pops up over and over again, it's a hit. That is an organization I'm going to keep tabs on. That is an organization that I'm going to research. That is an organization that I'm going to request an informational interview from before they're even hiring for a position that calls for my skill set. Because then what am I doing? I'm creating a referral. So we don't just apply to positions, right? We also apply to organizations that reflect our values. Please join us for future sessions, folks. You can go to masshiremncareers.com/events. Once there, you can access our calendar of virtual workshops, and if you need assistance, we've provided instructions for you as well. And on behalf of all of us here at Mass Hire Metro North, I want to thank you very much for watching. You can stay tuned for more. You can find the URL of our website at the lower right-hand bottom of the screen now, www.masshiremncareers.com. Our resource page has links to some great sites out there and also links to our YouTube channel, which has many of our job search and technology webinars pre-recorded, just like this one. On screen, you can see a shot taken from the contact page of our website. Just contact us for further assistance. Thanks again for watching, and maximum luck in your job search.